All right, in this video, we're going to be talking about inequalities. What are inequalities? Inequality means it's not equal to, and you've dealt with that before, comparing and ordering numbers. One number is greater than another number, or another number is less than another number. So on the diagram here, we have several different types of number lines. Well, not changing the number line, but how we graph it. On the top, we have x is equal to -2. So like if I had an equation, I solve for x, and if my answer were -2, first of all, you can see I have a blue dot, right, or a line crossing out. On this diagram I picked, and I didn't notice at first, I got the wrong answer. They plugged it in incorrectly, but that's all right. We all make mistakes. You see the red circle right here. Okay, x equals -2. If I were to plug it in on the number line, if I were to graph it, it would be a closed circle because there's only one value for x on this particular problem. It is -2, so it is a closed circle on -2. Okay. Now let's go to the bottom left next. Bottom left. So we have x is greater than, you always read the variable first, x is greater than, I could write it this way, and have -2 over here, always read the variable first, x is greater than -2. Okay. If you notice, my circle is open this time. Why is the circle open? Because x can't be equal to -2, but it could be any value greater than -2. Of course, it goes to the right. Now, there's an infinite amount of numbers. There's an infinite amount of numbers greater than -2. There's an infinite amount of numbers in between -2 and -1. I could write -1.5, -1/4, -1 1/8, -1 1/16. So there's an infinite amount of numbers to the right of it, but again, it's going to the right because it's greater than, and it's open because it cannot be -2, but it could be any number greater than -2. Let's go to this one above it. So this time I have x is greater than or equal to -2. So what does that mean? It means it could be -2. That's why my circle is closed. It could be -2, or it could be any number greater than -2. So again, we're going to the right. Looks very similar to the one below, but this time my circle is closed. Again, why is my circle closed? Because of the equal, greater than or equal, which again, all it means is it could be equal to -2, or it could be any value greater than -2. Let's go to the bottom right. Okay, so in this one, x is less than -2, so it's any value less than -2, -3, -4, or any value in between those. My circle is open. Why is it open? Because it can't be -2, but it could be any number less than -2, and that's why the graph goes to the left. The one above, x is less than or greater than -2. Why is my circle closed? Because it could be equal to -2, or it could be any value less than that, and so it's going to the left. So hopefully this makes sense. Let's look at a couple problems. The number of pounds of wheat produced is greater than 500. The inequality x, right here, greater than 500 represents the situation. Which statement best represents the solution to the inequality? So first, let's graph it. So again, we showed us how to graph it on this. So we're going to do x is greater than 500. So I'm going to do a number line. I'm going to do 500. That's all I'm going to do. I don't need to draw a lot of numbers on here. Now, first of all, I need to ask, is my circle open or closed? Well, do I have a equal line underneath it? I do not. Therefore, it's going to be open. I'm going to write this in blue. It's going to be open because it can't be 500. So then I have to ask, is my graph going to the right or left? It doesn't matter which way the inequality is pointing. That does not matter. Again, you're always going to start off with the variable. X is greater than 500. So think about that. Give me a number greater than 500. 501, 501/2. All of those would fall to the right of the number line. So it's going to go like this. To the right because we're greater than 500, or it's any number greater than 500. So what would our answer be? So it's obviously not less than 500, not less than 500, but then I have to ask, is it just greater than 500, or is it greater than 500 including 500? Now, does it include 500? Did I have the equal line underneath it? I did not. Therefore, it can't be this one because it doesn't include 500. Because my circle is open, it's any number greater than 500. So this would be my answer. Infinite rational numbers, because again, it could be any value greater than 500. There's an infinite amount of numbers greater than that. And, but again, it cannot include 500. A number is greater than 8. The same number is less than 10. So we have a number. So let's see. I have x is greater than 8, but x is also less than 10. So if I did a number line, I had 10, and I had 8 here. Okay, there's no equal sign underneath either of those. So I know it can't be 10, I know it can't be 8, but I know it could be any number in between 8 and 10. So now we have to pay attention to the way it's worded, which best explains the number of possible solutions to the inequality. Let's look at the first option. There's one solution because 9 is the only number between 8 and 10. 9 is obviously not the only number. There's 9 and a half, 9 and 3/4, 9 and 7/8, so on and so forth. Now, if they said 9 is the only whole number or integer in between 8 and 10, that would be correct. But they did not say that, so that is not correct. We're looking for what's true. There are 3 solutions because 8, 9, and 10 are possible solutions. Well, I don't have the equal sign underneath it, so it can't be 8. It could be greater than 8. And it can't be 10, but it could be less than 10. So this is obviously not right because, again, it can't be 8 or 10. There are a few solutions because there are some fractions and decimals between 8 and 10. So that's true. There are a few solutions, but it's not true because obviously there's 1 8 and a half, 8 and 3/4, 8 and 3/8, 8 and 3/9, 8 and 3/10, 8 and 3/11, so on and so forth. I could keep going. So there's not just a few. Now there are multiple answers, but more than just multiple answers, there's an infinite about solutions between 8 and 10. So again, on a problem like this, you have to be careful the way it's worded. There are infinite solutions on this one because they didn't restrict it to just whole numbers or integers. If it's any rational number between 8 and 10, that's only 10, it could be, there's an infinite amount of solutions. So when you're answering problems like this, please pay attention to the way it's worded and make sure you know the difference between whole numbers and integers and rational numbers. I do have a video on that if you do need additional help. We have 2 more problems. Larry graphs the inequality x is less than -5 using the steps below. Draw a number line and place an open circle at -5. Agree with that. Shade to the left of -5 to represent less than -5. Check work by substitution. So we have right here, we have x is equal to -5, but 5 is not less than -5. That's obviously not true. Larry concludes that he must have shaded the number line in the wrong direction, which best describes the situation. So we're not going to talk about the situations. You have answer choices underneath. But let's talk about this. Did Larry graph this correctly? Well, we said x is less than -5, so give me a number less than -5. It's any number to the left of -5 on the number line, which he did. I didn't have the equal sign underneath, so he left the circle open, which is correct. So where did Larry mess up? He did the graphing correct, but where did he mess up? Well, he plugged in -5. He said x is equal to -5, and so -5 is less than -5, which obviously is not true. -5 is equal to -5, it is not less than. So where did he mess up? He plugged in a number that was not less than -5. If he's going to plug in a number into an equation, so give me a number for x, and let's say -6, Is -6 less than -5? It is, because it's farther left on the number line. To plug it in, to check it, to see if you're true, all you had to do is plug in a number to the left of the number line of -5, and you would have proven that this inequality is true. So where did Larry mess up? Right there. I'm going to do that in a different color. All right, the last problem we're going over, which describes a range of numbers that satisfy the inequality x is greater than 12.4. So can you think of, are there any numbers that you can think of that are greater than 12.4? What about 12.5, 12.6, 12.7, 12.8, 12.41 is greater than 12.40, 12.401 is greater than 12.4. How many numbers are greater than 12.4? So let's look at our options. The range of numbers has an upper limit. Is there a limit you can go to on numbers? I don't think so. The range of numbers has a lower limit, but no upper limit. So looking at our answer choices, the range of, this would be the answer because the range has a lower limit. It has to be greater than this. It can't be less than, it can't be equal to, I don't have the equal sign underneath it. It can't be less than that number, but obviously it can be greater than 12 4/10, 12.4, but again, it has no limit because there's an infinite amount of numbers greater than 12 4/10. So this has been graphing with inequalities. Again, what you need to keep in mind is always read the variable first, then you read the inequality, then the number, okay, and focus on whether the circle is open or closed. It's closed if it could be equal to that number, or greater or less than. The circle is open if it's just greater than or less than, because it can't be that number, but it could be any number greater than or less than depending upon the inequality. And so when you graph it, just focus on, again, read the variable first. If it's greater than, your variable is greater than a given number, it's going to go to the right. Your inequality, your line, when you graph it, it's going to go to the right. If the x is less than a number, or whatever variable, your graph, your line is going to go to the left. So hopefully this has helped you. If you have any additional questions or concerns, you can email me at jhewlett@leisd.ws. Thanks, and I hope you have a great day.